Let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. We got Joe Rogan, Andrew Schultz, and Andrew Schultz is saying the left is pretentious. They're talking down to people. And all in all, they just haven't learned from this election. And that's what him and Joe are talking about. And I'm going to go over some clips that I found. It's going to show you a lot of how they have not learned whatsoever to a gross degree. And some of them who are actually learning, which is actually scary because it's Gavin Newsom. So let's start with the Joe Rogan stuff first, and then let's jump into the other clips.
It's like, I saw on CNN after the election, they were talking about us in specific, and they were talking about how there is this network of podcasts that are interconnected that has been financed, like this huge corporate finance network.
It's called Black Rifle Coffee.
It's like, it's so stupid. No, it's actually just a bunch of friends, you idiots. We just happen to do each other's podcast. But they're like trying to sort it out.
Bro, it's
like,
so funny.
They support each other. They go on each other's shows. And they're all in this together. Well, we need that on the left. Like, good luck.
Yeah,
you guys cancel each other if your fucking Ukraine flag is too small.
Yeah. 6 by 6.
Yeah, you fucking talk shit about each other for not having trans kids. You guys are out of your mind. You're not gonna sync up together. You're in a cult.
Yeah, I think that was the results of the election. I don't think that they would like to believe this, but it was a rejection of what was happening. I think the assumption is everybody just loves Trump and he's just this populist, and every person that voted for him is like, I just love everything about this guy. But I actually think that a lot of people were just like, I don't like what's happening now.
Right.
And this current administration is saying that they don't want to change much that's happening now.
Right.
So I'm voting against that lack of change.
Right.
And I think it's important for them to realize that. Like, I talk about this a lot, especially with Charlotte on the pod, and it's just like, you have to be reflective, like what the people are telling you. Like when the Mangione thing happened and the reaction by the people was to laugh at it.
Yeah, they were kind of like, pumped.
But you got to look at that and you got to pay very close attention to what people are feeling. Don't tell them what they should feel and you know better and, oh, we have to, lead them to the water because they're too stupid to know how to find it. No. They are disillusioned by the medical system. And if you don't meet them there, you're never going to win. Ever.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's, at least from talking to Trump, that was something that I got from him, is like, it doesn't seem like it when you see him on the news, but he's like an acute listener. Like, he listens to what people are saying. And he listens to, more importantly, what they're feeling. And he can tap into those feelings. And I think that that's what people who've had a lot of success in politics were able to do. Barack did it. Bill Clinton did it. Probably maybe the best. Bill might have been the best. His ability to communicate to people what they were feeling.
I know you feel pain.
I do feel pain, Bill.
I'm here for you.
You are?
I am.
I would love that. It was...
I'm going to be your leader.
Yeah, it was...
yeah, it's...
You need to listen.
I think what Trump's done that's really brilliant is bringing people like Tulsi Gabbard, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Kash Patel. Like, bringing those people and, like, you kind of really do get a chance to change things, like legitimately change things.
But think about that decision, right? It's like, those people are all echoing sentiments that the majority of Americans feel. We do not trust the food. Here's the guy who says the food is bad.
Right.
Maybe we should put him in control of the food. Kind of like a simple thing.
Yeah.
Instead of going, well, this guy is the food doctor and we're going to hire the food doctor because he knows what food is good for you and you guys should just shut up and listen. And I feel like there's a lot of this like top down on the left. And I'm not trying to just like bag on the left. I don't care really about that. Like, I don't even care about the politics. I care more about like where the cultural liquidity is. And it's like, you can't talk down to people. There's this like Ivy League pretentiousness in the Democratic Party, I feel, where they're like, we know better and just, you must be stupid if you don't agree with us. And it's like, all right, well, I'm stupid. I'm dumb. Yeah. I'm dumb then. So why doesn't somebody meet me where I'm stupid and start at least making me feel like I'm not an asshole for the way that I... for my, I guess you could say, political leanings now. Yeah, I feel like they need to meet. And it's a very simple thing. Make it a class issue, and I think they win. And say what you want about America, but I think it's better if we have two people running for president that we're stoked about, and it's a really hard decision.
Oh, yeah. That would be wonderful. Yeah, that's not what we had. We had one group of people that legitimately wanted to change things, and then we're going to see what happens if they do. But you're seeing weird stuff today that you never see before, which is like a real adjustment to the age of the internet. One of the things you're seeing is, I don't know if you saw the 22 different Congress people who were all saying the exact same line with the word shit in it.
What was the line?
So it's like, it's this speech. They're reading it verbatim.
Yeah.
They're all reading it and doing it to a microphone as if it's a rant. But they're all doing from the same script, and the shit ain't right.
So this is
the shit ain't right is the beginning of it. When in the history of the United States
has a politician,
said shit?
Yeah.
And not just one, but 22 of them in tape record. Can you pull it up just so we can see it? Because it's so nuts.
This is think
when
tank
you see them all
politics.
together, it's just like they have it on screens as tiles, and they're all saying the same words. They all have their own little flair they put on it.
Yeah.
Look at this. Put your headphones on. This is fucking bananas.
Terrible. Hard to listen.
It's okay. You won't be able. You can't really tell. It's like a crowd. But when they had 3 of them, when it was the first 3, it was Chuck Schumer and someone else.
Yeah.
They're saying the exact. Oh, Elizabeth Warren and someone else.
Yeah.
They're saying the exact same words.
Yeah.
In the exact same subject, in the exact same order. You guys are all reading off a script, and you're trying by putting the word shit in there to be authentic.
Well,
Shit ain't right.
to be specifically authentic. They're like, we need to speak to working class people, to the kids.
Yeah.
And it is kind of like bigoted in a weird way where it feels like they're almost in a think tank like, hey, listen, these poor dummies, they like it when you curse.
Yeah.
So if you use a few curse words in your speech, they're going to really relate to you.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we actually need somebody disruptive. We need somebody on the left that might speak like that, but authentically speaks like that, and is willing to disrupt even what's happening on the left. Because if you look at like what happened with the Trump and the movement, like he disrupted the right. The right looks very different now than it did 5-10 years ago, right?
Definitely.
So I want like
a MAGA Democrat.
Yeah, like for real. Like and what is that? Like what do we at our baseline want, right? We like abundance. Tell me how great America is going to be in your version of it.
You want to Bill Clinton.
Talk that shit. Like come out talking shit. Bernie was talking shit, and I want you to come out, and if Trump can say we're going to take Greenland, there can be some Dem that goes $1 eggs and straight up says we're going to subsidize it.
How would you do that? You
subsidize
it?
Subsidize corn, you subsidize dairy, you subsidize everything. Like, why can we not subsidize it? But say something that's actually going to impact people. Now, Trump's not going to take Greenland, so maybe you don't get the $1 eggs, but you get this messaging across that you're actually trying to help people, and you're going to have to deal with those lobbies that are bankrolling you, and that might piss them the off. But that's the disruption we need for us to trust you.
You know what they really should do?
What's that?
They really should have a strategic plan. If we're spending $350 billion went to Ukraine. What was the number? What are they saying it was? I don't know what the number is. Some insane. Let's just be conservative and say $200 billion. Imagine if we spent $200 billion in the United States in all of the crime-ridden cities of the country, just completely overhauling them.
All right. So here's my concern about that: is how much did they spend in California on homelessness?
$24 billion.
And then like nothing changed, right?
No, they got worse.
Oh,
they did a good job.
Oh, awesome.
They did a good job.
Maybe we could spend $36 billion. You know, like so. There's also this idea that like the current administration in these places, even with an abundance of money, is not going to make change. So you need somebody from inside, from the left, to go, hey, these people are corrupt. On my team, we're going to root out that corruption, but we are going to take care of homelessness. We are going to make eggs cheaper. We are going to build 10,000 affordable housing units so that the price of your rent can go way down. There has to be something disruptive instead of, hey, let's just go back to normal. Let's not ruffle any feathers.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I reject the idea, though, that progress can't be had just because people have been corrupt and they've abused money before. I feel like you could farm it off to private corporations the same way we did with Halliburton during the Iraq War. What did they do with Halliburton? Got no bid contracts to rebuild Iraq.
Yep.
And they did it. They actually built all the power plants they didn't need. There's like a lot of waste and weird shit that went on over there.
Yeah.
You could do that with the inner cities.
But
you could have
You're saying
contracts.
Halliburton did a good job?
No.
Oh.
Well, I'm just saying, like, they actually did get paid to rebuild cities, so you can get a private sector that would actually make money. It would become an industry instead of it being bureaucracy.
Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying? Like, instead of it being something where it's like California, they're taking the homelessness, where nothing gets done but money keeps pumping into it.
Yeah.
No, the only way you get paid is based on results.
Ooh.
So you have a contract with incentives based on results.
Yes, and
So
that is the problem. There is no.
You have to lower crime. You have to lower crime. You have to lower juvenile detention rates. You have to improve education scores. You have to make food, healthy food, far more accessible. It would be very easy to open up enormous food pantries in the inner city and finance it in comparison to the amount of money we spend on other countries doing transgender monkey studies, or whatever the we do. 'Cause, you know, the stuff they do is nuts. Like $20 million to Sesame Street in Iraq. Like, it's bananas.
Yeah.
So just if you've got enough money for that, you've got enough money to set up food banks in every city where poor people can get nutritious food.
Yes.
Just sign on, have a driver's license, whatever the you need to get your food.
And what are the downstream effects of that? Like, you have way less health issues, which takes down the cost of healthcare.
Well, also, people aren't desperate because you can actually always eat, you know, which is a real problem with some people in this country, right? What's this about, Jamie? What are you pulling this up for?
They didn't do a very good job, apparently.
Oh, well, I'm sure they probably... Well, I said they did do corruption, and there was some waste, right? Because I was talking about these power plants they built that didn't matter. But the point is, it was a business. Yeah. So you got businesses involved.
What is with that odd fact-checking that happens? I wonder if Jamie was told to do that, and now he just ongoingly does that, or if he just does that on his own. I'm... Because what was the point of that? You know, I guess it's to kind of push back on Joe, but it's like, I don't know, he's in the middle of a conversation and then you're interjecting this pushback. I guess that's what he wants, because he wants his ideas pushed on. He wants to be able to change his thought process. He must have told Jamie to do it, you know? I know, because I know a lot of us, we complain about these random fact checks, but I don't know. I wonder. I really do wonder. You know, what he's talking about in regards to homelessness, Trump actually did this to Gavin or the governor, you know, California. He actually did this. He said, you know, we're not going to give you X amount of money until you fix the issues and make how you handle things when it comes to water better. And he didn't like that. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, also pushed that as well. He said, you know, no money until you figure out a better plan, so the same thing doesn't happen again. So that has happened, and that is what needs to happen in regards to this. You know, the homelessness that he's talking about, the 24 billion. Again, it's not the same thing that Joe's talking about. Yeah, I know what Andrew means, but that's not the same thing, because who knows where that money went? And they just don't know the impact that it had. So that would be unacceptable. There would have to be frameworks, right? Where you actually do have to show that things are improving. And obviously beforehand, you'd have to show that things are like, this is our plan. This is how it's going to get better. Whereas before, they didn't really have to do that under Biden. They just kind of got the money and it went into homelessness and it kind of disappeared, you know? And who knows what happened from there, right? As we start to uncover what happened with USAID and everything, I mean, you can let your imagination kind of run there. Let's just jump over here. Which one is it? Unlimited? No, this here. So this is what Joe was showing. This is terrible. I don't know. A lot of people seem to like this edit. I don't know why. You can't get anything out of it at all. Nothing. You can't get any. You can't hear if they're saying the same thing. You can't, like, it's just 22 and they're senators, not congressmen. You can't hear what they're saying. So I tried to find a better version of it. All I could find was this.
Want to cut medical research to pay for tax cuts for billionaires.
Access to education.
Kids' school lunch programs.
Head Start.
FEMA. Ag research.
Public health funding and medical research.
Research for Alzheimer's.
Why? To give tax.
So what actually happened here was they all did record the exact same thing. 22 of them all recorded the same thing, the exact same thing to a T. Putting it in a compilation like this makes sense. But not only did they make this compilation kind of video where, you know, they're all together on the same message, each of them put it out on their X page. So then it becomes very Mockingbird-like. This is like a put-together video. Okay. But then when each of them have it, and you're going from 22 different pages, and they all have the same script, it looks terrible. Terrible. So that's actually what happened with that. I just wanted to show you that. And then in regards to one person that's kind of learning, scarily, you know, from what's happened to the left, is Gavin Newsom. If you don't know, he started a podcast, and he's gotten Charlie Kirk on that podcast. I have to say, I don't like this, but also I guess conversations do have to be had between the left and the right. But when it comes to Gavin, he's trying to position himself to be president. That's what he's trying to do. So, you know, there's a whole, just a quick tinfoil time. Gavin Newsom had a debate with Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis was running for president at the time. My mind, knowing about predictive programming, you're putting Gavin with someone who's running for president to put in people's minds that he could debate a person that's running for president, which actually pushes people into the thought process without knowing it that he could run for president. So I didn't like that. Now I'm seeing Charlie Kirk with Gavin Newsom, and they're getting along. What's happening here is Gavin's slowly trying to position himself as someone who's moderate, not someone who's super progressive, not someone who's the male Hillary Clinton, the male Kamala Harris, not somebody who will turn the United States into California. No, they're trying to make him seem like he's moderate. That's exactly what they did with Joe Biden. And then Joe Biden started passing some of the most progressive things that we've ever seen in the country. So, little unhappy with this, but Charlie Kirk did own him at times. It's just, I see what this is building to. So I didn't like it. But again, Gavin is learning. So here's a little clip from it of Gavin and Charlie talking.
I think you talked about it the other day. A lot of folks were talking about that Carville article where he talked about
roll over and play dead.
Roll over. In essence, he said that. I think it was a strategic retreat,
Mm-hmm.
right? That we need to come back. Trump's starting to implode. His numbers are getting soft. This was even before the tariff issues, et cetera. And then come back and strike when hot. And I immediately, no BS, thought about you, who's just 24/7 flooding the zone, owning this space, every day getting a convert, every day picking up 1, 2, 10,000 folks, continuing the momentum, coming out of this damn election. And then I'm thinking about, we're going to stand back and watch you run circles around us for 6 months, the next 2 or 3 years, waiting for the moment to finally strike. Struck me as not necessarily the best advice, and it's not a knock on Carville, who I have deep respect for. What's your thoughts?
That's okay. So I don't have to. He's right about one thing in the last 40 years. It's economy stupid, and boy, he spent down that one line pretty amazingly. Yeah, I hope you guys retreat.
You kind of like the
more
advice.
For us.
You like
I mean,
the advice.
there's no opposition. There's no activist spark. You guys are posting these cringe videos on social media.
What are the videos? What are the ones that
I don't know.
most
This
cringy?
like harmonious thing of like 22 senators all saying the same
Oh, you
thing.
didn't like that, yeah.
I didn't like it. Go ahead. Go do more of that.
What do you do?
Please.
What do you do? Seriously, Charlie Kirk, give us some
Get
advice.
better ideas, Governor.
So it's basically Charlie Kirk giving him ideas to combat the next person who runs, possibly J.D. Vance. Yeah, I just don't like the whole thing, right? And I do see that I have a bias because, you know, I'm into my bias. I know what my biases are, but I just don't like the whole thing. You can feel however you want about it. It was a conversation, and it's a necessary conversation. You want people from the left and the right having conversations. I just don't like when it gets to the point where Charlie is now giving them advice on what to do. Because whether he actually states, this is my advice for you or not, as they talk, Gavin is gaining the advice. He is smart enough to be able to do that. That's why he started the podcast. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's just one person who is learning. Here's somebody who's not learning whatsoever. Somebody and a group of people. Karine, of course. Haven't seen Karine in a minute. And The View as a whole, just not learning at all.
The thing, the Associated Press, if you look at the Associated Press, they are the oldest wire in the press briefing room. And you think about journalists, you think about the reason they're in the press briefing room, you think about the reason they're in the pool. It's called the protective pool. There are 13 members of the pool. I'll try not to get too wonky here. And their job is to provide unbiased information to the American people, because the American people deserve that. And when the White House press team decides to step in and override the White House Correspondents Association, who they have the job of doing that, then what we're looking at is state TV. Yep. What we're looking at is what Russia is doing. What we're looking at is what North Korea is doing. And we are doing that. They are attacking the fiber of the freedom of the press. They are destroying it because they want to be covered in a friendly way. Yeah. And look, I was in that position for 2.5 years. It is an exercise, what we did in the press briefing room, what the president did when he took questions from the press. It is an exercise of democracy. And we have to remember that when the press briefing room was televised, it's not just televised here in the United States. Right. It's televised globally.
A lot of people don't know that.
And right, people are wondering, other countries are wondering.
A lot of people don't know that you can see CNN globally on YouTube when they're doing something live. ABC, Fox. A lot of people don't know that. Who are your demographics? I got a lot of old people that watch my channel. Sorry, you know, with respect. I'll say seasoned people, okay? And they all know that. They know these things. So who are you even talking about? Now, you want to hear the other 20 seconds? Fine.
What are we saying as the United States? What is it that we want to do? And it is an exercise of democracy. It is the cornerstone of democracy. The freedom of the press is the fourth estate.
Okay, that's enough. I'm good. So basically what she's saying is, you know, the press, the AP basically didn't want to use the term Gulf of America. The White House is like, we don't need you guys here. They tried to sue and say we have a right to be in the White House, which they don't. Nobody does. You can still report. I know Matt Taibbi said it the best. He's like, a lot of people feel like they have this right, like they need to be in the White House. He's like, you can still report on whatever you want. You can still have your sources, gather sources, make a story and not be in the White House. It's not a right, and it's not even necessary as a journalist. Most journalists are not in the White House doing that whole thing. So obviously they lost that case. Now what she's saying is this becomes like state TV because there's a White House correspondence team. But the thing about it is that correspondence team has become very biased in who they let in. Now they're saying, oh, this becomes like Russia. It becomes like state TV. But in reality, what Trump actually did was he allowed the people to start making that decision, because the White House correspondence team, they don't know about podcasters. They don't know about these people who have, you know, people like me. They don't know about us whatsoever. So they're not going to choose us. The White House actually wants it to where those people like me, are getting chosen to be at these briefings. The correspondents weren't doing that. So it doesn't turn into state TV. It's actually opening it up for more voices to come in. People who have more radical questions, who have, you know, maybe even some tinfoil like questions. People who don't necessarily, like Dave Peckman is someone who's very on the left. Destiny's someone very on the left. They could apply. They could get in. The correspondence team doesn't even know about guys like that who are very left leaning. So it didn't actually become like Russia state TV. It actually opened it up to a broader audience. But again, this is an example of the left not learning, just making things up, going on these weird rants where they're saying things that are completely against reality. And again, I know I have a bias, but I'm not making this up. This is a real thing you could look into. You know that the White House has said that they want podcasters and people with YouTube channels inside of this room. The reason that they took the power away from the White House correspondents is because they weren't executing on that. Because they only know about ABC and Breitbart and Fox and NBC and PBS. They only know about the mainstream. So you have to take it away from them in order for all voices like mine to get into that position. So, and again, be completely charitable. Maybe she just doesn't know that. Maybe she doesn't know at all. Now, this is somebody who actually kind of has learned, but also hasn't learned. And this is something that I didn't know about Miss Jasmine Crockett. I'm going to play this clip, then I'm going to play another clip.
How about that? It's zero. And I know people going to feel away. Listen, all I do is give y'all facts. So you come back to me when you don't get that check and say, Jasmine, you were right. Just like y'all want to get out there and say all kinds of, other stuff. But come back. Because you're getting zero. I know these people. I work with these people. These people is not about this life, and they don't care about you.
These people is not about this life. Well, apparently, Miss Jasmine Crockett is actually quite a privileged lady. If you did not know, this is a comedian here, Amiri King, I believe his name is. And he had this to say about her. Kind of exposed things.
Walk with me here.
Absolutely. First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. No one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now it looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress.
A few moments later.
What is happening? Like, this is not America. This is a terrible nightmare. Somebody slap me and wake me the fuck up. because I'm ready to get on with it.
Jasmine Crockett grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, where she attended private school her entire life. The prestigious Mary Institute, where tuition tops $35,000, and the Mary Institute churned out a slew of successful names. Sotheby's Auction House CEO William F. Ruprecht, U.S. Senator John Danforth, Governor of California, U.S. Senator and Mayor of San Diego Pete Wilson, sports broadcaster Joe Buck, co-owner of the St. Louis Cardinals Drew Bauer, World War II pinup girl Betty Grable, actor Vincent Price, model Devin Windsor. The list goes on and on and on and on, but you get the idea.
Listen, he up there, he's hearing all kinds of nonsense and bullshit. Let me just be real. We ain't gonna sit for that.
I'm sorry, bitch, I don't speak EBT. She also attended Rosati Kane, an all-girls private Catholic school where tuition tops $14,900. Jasmine then attended Rhodes, where, surprise, surprise, she claimed to be the victim of multiple hate crimes. She also alleges she's represented by Cochran Law Firm for those incidents. But a 2024 investigation by the Tennessee Star found zero evidence of any hate crimes at Rhodes, or any involvement by the Cochran Law Firm. Jasmine Crockett isn't a street sister. Far from it. She's a sorority sister from Delta Sigma Theta. She panders and acts hood to garner support from the liberal low-info urban retards. And it works. Why do you think she won re-election? Like, what the are we even doing anymore? Jasmine is not from the hood. Jasmine is not from the struggle. Jasmine is a privileged, snarky little female with a net worth of $9 million. Jasmine is right. She's not like us.
So that is something that I didn't know, that she actually comes from a real, I knew about the net worth and I was like, how does that work? But she actually comes from a very privileged family, very privileged upbringing. And everything that we see in regards to her acting all hood is actually an act. So again, they've learned a little bit, but they haven't learned. Still inauthentic, still making things up, still acting like they think people want them to act. When in reality, a lot of black people, and maybe some black people do identify with this whole type of act, but a lot don't. A lot don't like that type of act. They want somebody who is put together. They want somebody who is worthy of representing them. They want somebody. That's why so many people, flock to Obama, because he didn't act that way. So again, it's like they've learned, but they haven't learned. They're still being very dishonest. And to go back to what Andrew Schultz was saying, and Joe Rogan, people don't actually want someone on the left who is like Obama or like Bill Clinton. They want somebody who actually loves America and is not afraid to say it. Someone who actually cares and is not just going to, because, go back to Obama. He said things and he didn't do anything. He said good things really well, and then he didn't do anything. And in some cases did the opposite and left black people in a worse position than they were before. It left everybody in a worse position, quite honestly. So that's not what the left is looking for. So I don't know why Andrew Schultz is saying like they need someone who actually cares, not someone who's willing to talk and knows how to talk and navigate and then just do the exact same things Biden and Kamala Harris did. They don't need that. They need someone who actually cares about the country. Now, here's another clip of them just not learning. This is a guy from Fox, this guy Johnny, and he's trying to talk to Democrats about what happened at Trump's congressional speech. And watch how they all act towards him.
Senator, how's it going? Johnny from Fox. What could Donald Trump do that'll make you clap?
Thank you very much.
What could Donald Trump do that'll make you clap?
I did clap when he said that the United States had supported Ukraine and given them lots of
Well, why not for Laken Riley's mom? How was that speech last night? Did you love it?
All of them are just going to act like they either can't hear him, they're going to talk real slow, they're going to ignore him until they get to a point where he can't go. That's all of them are doing. Completely pretentious, completely feeling like they're above him. And when you do this to a reporter, you're actually doing it to the people because he is asking things that a lot of people want to know.
Well, I watched it. I don't think that was the best look for our party last night.
Very disappointing.
So you didn't stand up for anything?
The president got before the American people, didn't talk about how he could drive down grocery prices.
Senator, why weren't you standing yesterday for anything?
Very important hearing right now on anti-Semitism.
But you didn't stand for anything at the speech last night.
I don't know what you're talking about, where you got that information.
Well, there was nothing
the president had to say.
Laken Riley's mom. You
Either
didn't stand for her.
factual or truthful or anything like that.
We applauded.
You don't think it's worthy to stand up for her like everyone else?
We should applaud.
I need you to move.
Congressman, why didn't you stand for the speech?
Have a good day. I need to go to a meeting.
80% of the American people, according to CBS, loved the speech.
Again, I don't think with the United States.
Are the Democrats out of touch?
The United States of America. Forgive me for going here. Forgive me for being out of breath.
I don't know what speech they were watching.
Literally smacked the microphone. Sorry, forgive me. It's incredible. Again, talking about not have learning anything that they've seen in regards to this election and the shift that's happened in regards to how politics is actually working when it comes to people believing you and who you are.
They're watching the president's speech, Senator.
Really? Wasn't worth watching.
Why was Al Green so disrespectful?
You got to ask Al Green.
So I just pulled up to Congressman Al Green's office, went inside, see if he wanted to talk, because he did a lot of talking at the joint address, but they shooed me away. They said, we're not talking to Johnny. What was wrong with those Democrats? They couldn't stand last night?
Well, I think people got to see the difference between conservative Republicans and liberal Democrats. Liberal Democrats are miserable people.
I bet their butts were sore sitting that long.
Why do you want men and women's sports?
Therefore, I
Senator,
need to go. Aloha.
Why do you want men and women's sports, Senator?
Thank you.
Congressman, how are you?
Okay, thank you.
Congressman, why should men be in women's sports?
Shorts?
Sports. Why do you think
They should not be in shorts.
Senator, why are we paying for Sesame Street in Iraq?
I do not know that is true, so I'm not going to say yes or no.
You don't trust the Doge findings?
I don't really have an opinion on that. And I work in a business. I think it requires, we don't have to have an opinion on everything.
Do you have an opinion on Jesse Waters?
Oh yeah, I wish I had his hair. Yeah. And my dad's a big fan.
You need to get away from me.
Congresswoman, did you like the speech last night?
Awesome.
That was it. The only person that would really talk to him was John Fetterman, the only person who would really stop for him. The rest of the people ignored him. Shorts, I don't think they should be in shorts, completely skirting questions. It's ridiculous. And then again, the other person who would stand with him was a Republican. So he was just willing to sit there and talk with him for a while. It's funny to see, man. And then on top of it, the most terrible situation in regards to not learning how to be better is this right here. This guy is DJ Daniels. Trump did a very nice thing for him, and MSNBC had pretty much a disgusting retort to what they saw. This.
And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service. And tonight, DJ, we're going.
So it's just a nice gesture. It wasn't anything crazy. It was just one of those things like who could really be upset about this? The kid has brain cancer. He was supposed to live for, I think, a few months. I think they said 5 months. He ended up pulling through for about 5-6 years. You could see the scar on his head. Like, he's a kid that's been through a lot. I'm sure it affected his pituitary gland, which is why he's a little smaller. I think he's about like 13 or something like that. But it's just a thing you do, It's just a nice thing. That's all it is. a nice thing to do. It's not like the kid's going to be in the field, protecting Trump or anything. Everybody knows that, give him an honorary, give him an actual badge. They gave him actual identification. His dad gets to be there. It's just a nice thing. It's almost like, what's that thing called? Make-A-Wish. It's like that type of thing. The kid wants to be a police officer. It's just a nice thing to do. And this is what this lady from MSNBC had to say about the whole thing.
But I think this was a lesson in finding one thing that you let yourself feel. And I let myself feel joy about DJ. And I hope he's alive for another, 95 years, right? And I hope he lives and the life he wants to live. He wants to be a cop. He knows what he wants to do. And maybe when you have childhood cancer, that crystallizes for you. And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide. And I hope he isn't one who has to testify against the people who carried out acts of seditious conspiracy and then live to see Donald Trump pardon those people. But I think this was a lesson in
just crazy to make something like that to make something that's such a nice little gesture into something so dark because of how you feel about Donald Trump, and that was another thing that everybody stood up for that none of the Democrats would stand up for. They just haven't learned that, the way that they've been being is just not, it's not helping anybody. And also throughout that speech, honestly, it made it seem there's things that Trump was discussing and talking about that went beyond his talking points. Again, just a lot of nice focus on regular Americans that he wanted to bring up. And they made a point to not clap and to not stand up along with everybody else. And it just shows that they're not really interested in the condition of America. They're not interested in that little kid. They're not interested in Laken Riley's parents. They're not interested in who died from an illegal immigrant attacking them, assaulting them. They're not interested in any of that. They're not interested in America. That's what it shows, at least. They're more interested in what they want to do. And it's been proven throughout the past 4 years. It's been proven with that speech. It gets proven time and time again with the things that they do and the things that they say. And it's gross. Anyway, I'm out.